The husband was not home at his usual hour, and the wife was fuming, as the clock ticked later and later. Finally, about 3 a.m. she heard a noise at the front door, and as she stood at the top of the stairs, there was her husband, drunk as a skunk, trying to navigate the stairs. "Do you realize what time it is?" she asked. He answered, "Don't get excited. I'm late because I bought something for the house." Immediately her attitude changed, and as she ran down the stairs to meet him halfway, she asked, "What did you buy for the house, dear?" His answer was, "A round of drinks." A police officer pulls over a driver and informs him that he has just won $5,000 in a safety competition, all because he is wearing his seatbelt. "What are you going to do with the prize money?" the officer asks. The man responds, "I guess I'll go to driving school and get my license." His wife says, "Officer, don't listen to him. He's a smart aleck when he's drunk." The guy in the back seat pops up out from under the blanket and says, "I knew we wouldn't get far in this stolen car." Just then a knock comes from the trunk and a voice calls out, "Are we over the border yet?" Kevin had just gotten a new car and was out for a drive, when he accidentally cut off a truck driver. Truck driver motioned for Kevin to pull over. When Kevin did, the driver got out of his truck and pulled a piece of chalk from his pocket. He drew a circle on the side of the road and gruffly commanded Kevin, "Stand in that circle and don't move." He then went to Kevin's car and cut up its leather seats. When he turned around, Kevin had a slight grin on his face, so the driver said, "Oh, you think that's funny? Watch this." He gets a bat out of his truck and breaks every window in Kevin's car. When he turns and looks at Kevin, he has a smile on his face. Driver is getting really mad. He gets his knife back out and slices all its tires. Now Kevin is laughing. The truck driver is really starting to lose it. He goes back to his truck and gets a can of petrol, pours it on Kevin's car and sets it on fire. He turns around and Kevin is laughing so hard he is about to fall down. "What's so funny?" the truck driver asked. Kevin replied, "Every time you weren't looking, I stepped outside the circle." A dentist goes out and buys the best car on the market, a brand new Bugatti Chiron. It is also the most expensive car in the world, and it costs him $1.5 million. He takes it out for a spin and stops at a red light. An old man on a moped, looking about 90 years old, pulls up next to him. The old man looks over at the sleek shiny car and asks, "What kind of car you got there, sonny?" The dentist replies, "A Bugatti Chiron. It cost $1.5 million. "That's a lot of money," says the old man. "Why does it cost so much?" "Because this car can do up to 250 miles an hour, states the dentist proudly. The moped driver asks, "Mind if I take a look inside?" "No problem," replies the dentist. So the old man pokes his head in the window and looks around. Then, sitting back on his moped, the old man says, "That's a pretty nice car, all right, but I'll stick with my moped." Just then the light changes, so the dentist decides to show the old man just what his car can do. He floors it, and within 30 seconds, the speedometer reads 150 miles per hour. Suddenly, he notices a dot in his rear-view mirror, what it could be, and suddenly, hoo-hoo, something whips by him going much faster. What on earth could be going faster than my Bugatti, the dentist asks himself. He floors the accelerator and takes the Bugatti up to 175 miles per hour. Then, up ahead of him, he sees that it's the old man on the moped. Amazed that the moped could pass his Bugatti, he gives it more gas and passes the moped at 210 miles per hour. He's feeling pretty good until he looks in his mirror and sees the old man gaining on him again. Astounded by the speed of his old guy, he floors the gas pedal and takes the Bugatti all the way up to 250 miles per hour. Not 10 seconds later, he sees the moped bearing down on him again. The Bugatti is flat out, and there's nothing he can do. Suddenly, the moped plows into the back of his Bugatti, demolishing the rear end. The dentist stops and jumps out and, unbelievably, the old man is still alive. He runs up to the mangled old man and says, "Oh my gosh. Is there anything I can do for you?" The old man whispers, "Unhook my suspenders from your side mirror." A rich 40-year-old American woman decided to get married, but she wanted her husband to be a virgin and to never have been with a woman all of his life. After some years of pointless searching, she didn't find anyone with this description and was forced to give an ad to the paper. A month later, she met with an Australian man who had never been with a woman before in his life, and she married him immediately. On the first night of their wedding and before they lay down, she went for a quick fresh up and then went back to the bedroom, happy. When she entered the room, she stood still. She saw her husband in the center of the room and all the furniture on the corner of the room. But what happened? Asked the obviously shocked woman. "Look. I've never been with a woman, but if it's the same as with the kangaroo, then I'll need the whole room to catch you." A man and woman are going at it when they hear a car out front. The woman quickly says, "Hurry, out the window, it's my husband." Frightened, the man grabs his jocks and starts trying to get them on whilst climbing out the window. Suddenly, he turns around and states, "Hang on, I'm your husband. Why would you do that to me?" To which she responds, "Why did you try to run?" A professor travels to Africa to live with a primitive tribe and spends years with them, teaching them all about the wonders of science, mathematics, and formatting Reddit comments so they get the most upvotes. One day, the chief's wife gives birth to a white child. The word spreads, and the entire tribe is in shock. The chief pulls the professor aside and says, "Look, you're the only white man we've ever seen around here, and this woman just gave birth to a white child. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what happened." The professor replied, "No, chief. You're mistaken. What you have here is a natural occurrence, what we in the civilized world call an albino. Look at that field over there. All of the sheep are white except for one black one. Nature does this on occasion." The chief was silent for a moment, then said, "Tell you what. You don't say anything more about that sheep and I won't say anything more about that white child." A council worker is digging holes, while another worker immediately fills them in. A man is watching two council workers busy in a local park. One digs a hole, moves a couple of meters and digs another hole, and so on. The other worker follows the first, immediately filling in all the holes the first worker has dug. The man watching is furious, and approaches them saying, "I'm going to write to the council about this digging holes and filling them in right away, it's a disgrace." "Hang on," says one of the workers, "it's not our fault that Charlie's off sick." "Who's Charlie?" asks the man. "He's the guy who plants the trees." An old man, a schoolboy, a lawyer, a doctor, and a community service worker are all on a plane with only 4 parachutes when the pilot of the plane has a stroke and passes away. As the plane plummets its passengers to death, the 5 members of the aircraft argue over who deserves to have the 4 bags containing the parachutes. Social worker, "I deserve to live because I protect vulnerable children and support families in need of assistance." The social worker grabs the nearest bag and plummets out of the aircraft. Lawyer, "I deserve to live because I advocate for my clients through my sharp wit and massive knowledge." The lawyer grabs the second bag and plummets out of the aircraft. Doctor, "I deserve to live because I help diagnose ill people with my specialized training." The doctor grabs the third bag and plummets out of the aircraft. This leaves only the schoolboy and the old man in the plane with it descending toward the ground. The old man, "Go ahead, boy. Take the last parachute. You have many years ahead of you while I am just an old man who is soon to die anyway." Schoolboy, "That's okay, old man, we can both take a parachute. Look, there are still 2 left." The old man's eyes widened with surprise. The old man, wah, but how is this possible? Schoolboy, the lawyer with the sharp wit and massive knowledge, took my school backpack. 3 men walk into a bar. One works for Budweiser, one works for Corona, and one works for Guinness. What would you like? The bartender asks the Budweiser worker. I'll have a Budweiser, says the Budweiser worker. And you? The bartender asks the Corona worker. I'll have a Corona, responds the Corona worker. Let me guess, the bartender says to the Guinness worker, you'd like a Guinness? No thank you, comes the reply. I'll just have some water. Water? The bartender is taken aback. Why not Guinness? Because, says the Guinness worker, if the other 2 aren't gonna have beer, I'm not gonna have it either. The boy's sign reads, 1 cup for 25 cents, 3 cups for $1. A construction worker stops by and asks to buy 1 cup of lemonade. 25 cents, says the kid. The construction worker then buys another one, and another one, paying 25 cents each. As the construction worker walks away, he turns around with a smile and says, Hey, kid, you realize I just bought 3 cups for 75 cents? Maybe lemonade stands aren't your thing. I guess you're right, says the kid good-naturedly as he sets up the next 3 cups. A charity worker goes to visit a very successful businessman in his town to find out why he has never donated to any charity in the community. Sir, you have been so very successful in this town, and this community has given you much. Why have you never given back to the community? The businessman says, Listen, son, did you know that my wife's mother has been suffering for years in the hospital and requires constant care and medical expenses? The charity worker says, No, I was not aware of that. And my brother has 7 kids, 2 with severe disabilities, and he just got in an accident at work due to unsafe conditions, and they've fired him and they're screwing him on compensation. Charity worker, I'm sorry to hear about this. And my own son, and his new wife and newborn baby, their house was destroyed by a tree that fell down in the storm last year, and insurance hasn't given them a penny. Charity worker, I'm very sorry to have taken up your valuable time. Businessman, if I haven't given any of them any money, what makes you think I'm going to give it to you? A young construction worker was bragging that he could outdo anyone in a feat of strength. He kept making digs at one of the older workmen. Eventually, the older man had enough. Put your money where your mouth is, he said. I'll bet a week's wages that I can haul something in a wheelbarrow over to that outbuilding that you won't be able to wheel back. You're on, old man, the braggart replied. The older man grabbed the wheelbarrow by the handles. Then, nodding to the young man, he said, All right, get in you prick. 2 council workers, Jim and Dave, are staring up at the flagpole outside the council offices. A young lady walks past and is intrigued by them, just standing there, staring. She walks over to them and says, Excuse me, I couldn't help but notice you, staring at the flagpole. Is there anything wrong? The boss told us we got to measure the height of this flagpole, said Jim. He gave us a bag of tools but no ladder. How are we supposed to do that, then? The girl looks at the bag of tools and sees a spanner. She picks up the spanner and undoes the nut at the base of the flagpole, kicks the bolt free and gently guides the flagpole down to the ground. Reaching into the bag, she picks up a large tape measure and secures one end at the base of the pole. She takes the tape measure to the other end and declares, 6.13 meters, gentlemen. With a grin, she dusts off her hands and walks away. As she's walking away, Jim turns to Dave and says, Isn't that typical of a dumb blonde? We told her we needed the height and she's given the length. An angry wife was complaining about her husband spending all his free time in a bar, so one night he took her along with him. What'll you have? He asked. Oh, I don't know. The same as you I suppose, she replied. So, the husband ordered a couple of Jack Daniels and threw his down in one shot. His wife watched him, then took a sip from her glass and immediately spat it out. "Yuck, that's terrible," she spluttered. "I don't know how you can drink this stuff." "Well, there you go," cried the husband. "And you think I'm out enjoying myself every night?" Hey there, I put a lot effort into making these videos, so please subscribe for more jokes and stay happy, thank you.